Thank you, sir, and thank you to all our witnesses for being with us today. There are current and former small business owners on both sides of the aisle on this committee, and rest assured, we share your pain, we empathize, and I hope I speak for all when I say our obligation and intention is to identify solutions today. With that, I'll begin by recognizing myself for 5 minutes. We pointed out the problem. I don't think we need to keep identifying what's wrong. Mr. O'Brien, I'm going to start with you. You identified 4 areas that are causing the supply chain issues: surging demand, a trucker shortage, the China tariffs and a trade war, COVID-related shutdowns are the 4 that I believe you referenced. My intuition tells me that today you might hear from certain members of this committee that Joe Biden is responsible for this whole problem. The Biden administration's policies have led to inflation and supply chain issues and labor shortages and the like. You might even hear some say it was the former administration. The fact of the matter is, I don't care who's responsible, I want to find solutions. So with that, Mr. O'Brien, can you point to a policy of either the past Trump administration or the current Biden administration that you believe is responsible for the issue that we're now facing relative to supply chains? And if so, how do we fix it?
I can't point to any specific policy. Thank you for the question, Representative Phillips. But I would say that this is a long-term sustained problem. The current demand. The other thing I would describe is that this has been an unprecedented inversion of supply and demand. This is a very unnatural event when you talk about the world's supply chain. The world's economy simply wasn't built to shut down and restart and then deal with increased demand. A whole new product set that really occupied the global shipping lanes for the first several months was PPE. But I will say that this demand has exposed long-term choke points in the supply chain. And today it started with manufacturing, and it had to restart, but it has exposed other physical and infrastructure challenges throughout the supply chain, from our ports to available chassis to the draymen that haul containers out of a port. I mentioned in my testimony the one longest term. So every 4 or 5 years, we've seen a port slow down when demand is high. We've never seen anything like this. But really, in every period of increased demand, we've dealt with truck driver shortage. So if there's one area that I would want the committee to focus on the most, it is the part of the supply chain crunch that has been the most enduring and problematic. The additional benefit is that it will benefit both the international supply chain and the domestic supply chain. Many small businesses rely on North American trucks. Our job is to consolidate that small carrier group and bring access to them to small shippers. So like I testified, I would say anything that we can do, like the Drive Safe Act and the Women in Trucking Workforce Act, to increase supply. It's no secret that truck driving is a business that is not attracting adequate labor, and anything we can do to help the lifestyle and improve the attractiveness of that role is important. And I think anything else to address the other supply chains, I would just say it's been a long-term challenge, and today's crunch has just magnified it and brought it to all of our attention. But over the long haul, disruptions like this are unusual, and the international, the global, and the domestic supply chains have been resilient, but probably the weakest link is North American trucking due to the driver shortage that we've had for years.
And Mr. O'Brien, is it also fair to say that our infrastructure is not as sound and robust as some of our international peers relative to ports, and also a lack of an integrated communication system between ports and customs and the like? Is that an area in which we can improve?
That is an area that we can improve. Compared to other world-class ports, ours are backed up more right now, and we have less automation and less adequate communication programs at our ports. So I would agree that there's an opportunity to invest there as well.
And would you say that I think it's $17 or $18 billion in the bipartisan infrastructure bill dedicated to port improvement, would that help?
I think anything that we can do to improve infrastructure, especially transportation infrastructure, is helpful. Not just at the ports, but across our highways, our intermodal systems, our rail terminals, anything that can reduce those endpoint supply chain choke points that we have today.
Okay. Well, hopefully we'll be voting on that soon in the affirmative. With that, my time is expiring, so I will turn to my friend and ranking member, Ms. Van Dyne, for 5 minutes.